You ever notice how calm a woman seems until you tell her the truth? Not the sugar-coated version. Not the let's keep the peace version. I mean the real, unfiltered, nothing left to protect kind of truth. Suddenly, the air shifts, the silence tightens, and within seconds, she's crying, yelling, accusing you of not loving her anymore. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't insult her. You simply refused to lie, and that, in her world, is treason. Because here's the ugly secret nobody wants to say out loud. Most women don't want honesty. They want agreement. They want your cooperation in the little movie playing inside their heads. And when you refuse to act out the role she's written for you, when you say something that doesn't match her internal script, she panics. She feels betrayed, not because you hurt her, but because you refuse to worship her version of reality. Tell her she looks perfect when she doesn't. You're a loving man. Tell her she's changed, that she's let herself go, that she's not the woman she used to be. You're cruel, heartless, distant. The truth didn't hurt her. The truth exposed her. And there's nothing more terrifying for someone who survives on illusions than a mirror that refuses to lie. Think about it. Every man knows the "do I look fat?" question. It's not really a question, it's a trap disguised as intimacy. She's not asking because she wants feedback. She's asking because she wants submission. You already know she spent 20 minutes checking herself in the mirror before asking you. She knows the answer. She just wants to know. Will you betray reality for me? When you say, "No, you look perfect," she smiles. Not because she believes you, but because you proved that her emotions have more power than truth. You became her mirror, not her man. You turned off your brain to soothe hers. That's what modern romance has become. A contest of who will lie first to keep the peace. And when you don't lie, when you answer honestly, she unravels. Tears, anger, the silent treatment. Suddenly, you're the villain for saying what she already knew but couldn't bear to hear. I've seen this play out hundreds of times in relationships. A man tells the truth once, and he spends the next 3 days paying for it like it was a crime. Here's the psychology behind it. Women have been raised in a world that worships their emotions and demonizes male reason. From childhood, they're told that their feelings define reality. If you feel it, it's true. If it hurts, it's wrong. If it feels good, it's right. So when you, as a man, bring reality into that equation, when you show her that feelings aren't facts, you're not just disagreeing, you're threatening her entire emotional belief system. And what does she do? She fights. Not logically, emotionally. She cries. She accuses. She deflects. Because she can't fight logic with logic, she fights logic with guilt. Her weapon is emotional chaos. She's not trying to understand. She's trying to win. And you, being wired to protect and fix, fall right into it. You soften your tone, backtrack, apologize, take the blame. Not because you were wrong, but because you were tired of the storm. That's the trap. It's not that women are evil. It's that they've learned, from movies, from culture, from weak men, that emotional outbursts work. Cry hard enough and he'll cave. Get angry enough and he'll retreat. Give the silent treatment and he'll beg. It's not communication, it's conditioning. I remember a client, successful, confident, no-nonsense kind of man. His wife asked him if he still found her as attractive as the day they met. He tried being gentle. "You're beautiful to me." But she pushed. "No, tell me honestly. Am I as pretty as before?" He hesitated. Then said the truth. "You're beautiful, but in a different way now." Boom. Nuclear meltdown. 3 days of crying. Telling her friends he doesn't love her. Accusing him of finding other women attractive. He was punished for honesty, not cruelty, honesty. And from that moment, he learned what most men eventually do. In relationships, truth has consequences. So men adapt. They stop saying what they see. They start saying what's safe. They nod when they disagree. They smile when they're frustrated. They lie not because they want to, but because they've learned it's the only way to survive emotional warfare. And here's the cruel twist. The same women who punish truth later complain. "He's so distant. He doesn't open up anymore." Of course he doesn't. You trained him not to. You made his honesty a weapon he's afraid to touch. But let's flip the perspective. When you, as a man, refuse to lie, when you decide that your integrity is worth more than her comfort, everything changes. She will go crazy, yes. She will cry, yes. She will test you harder than ever before. But deep down, something else happens. She begins to respect you. Because women might hate honesty in the moment, but they crave it in the long run. They despise weakness even when they create it. When you lie to protect her feelings, she senses it, and she loses trust. But when you hold your ground, when you speak truth calmly and stand firm through the storm, she sees something she can't admit: strength. That's the paradox. The same truth that makes her explode is the same truth that makes her respect you, once the emotions settle. So why do women go crazy when you tell them the truth? Because for a few seconds you break the illusion that her feelings rule the world. You remind her that there are still men who won't bend to manipulation. You show her what freedom looks like, and that scares her more than anything. And that's just the beginning. Because when you stop lying, when you stop protecting delusions, you stop playing her game, and that's when everything starts to change. Once you tell her the truth, she doesn't hear what you said. She hears how it made her feel. That's where most men get trapped. You thought you were having a conversation. She thinks you just detonated a bomb in her emotional world. She'll twist, turn, and spin it until you're apologizing for something you didn't do. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. Translation: you didn't protect my illusion. Because to her, truth isn't communication, it's confrontation. And confrontation means threat. So she goes into survival mode. Tears, silence, projection. Suddenly, your calm honesty becomes emotional abuse. Your rational tone becomes cold. Your boundaries become selfish. She's not reacting to you. She's reacting to the version of herself your truth exposes. See, when a woman demands honesty, she's not asking for truth. She's asking for reassurance disguised as a question. Do you still love me? Means please confirm that I'm still worthy. Do I look good? Means please fix the insecurity I refuse to face. When you give her the truth instead of comfort, her brain doesn't process logic, it processes danger. It's not evil. It's wiring. Female psychology is built on emotional preservation. If her emotions collapse, her self-image does too. That's why she clings to the lie, not because she believes it, but because she needs it. The truth threatens her internal balance, the fragile ecosystem built on validation. This is why women often test men with impossible questions. Would you still love me if I gained weight? Do you think my friend is prettier? Would you remarry if I died? These aren't questions, they're loyalty traps. There's no right answer, because she's not seeking truth. She's measuring control. And when you refuse to play the game, when you answer with honesty instead of emotional performance, she panics. You've just proven that she doesn't control the narrative, that your perception of reality doesn't belong to her. That's what drives her crazy. Not the words, but the independence behind them. Because when a man refuses to lie, he reclaims something sacred, his integrity. He becomes unpredictable to her, and unpredictability kills her sense of power. That's why women will call you insensitive, narcissistic, even abusive, for simply being honest. What they're really saying is, you won't bend to my emotions, and that terrifies me. So she punishes you. Silent treatment, withholding affection, emotional guilt. She'll twist it until you feel wrong for being real. And most men break at that point. They cave, they apologize, they promise to communicate better. But what they're really promising is to lie more convincingly next time. That's how relationships rot. Not from betrayal, but from small, daily compromises of truth. Every time you tell her what she wants to hear instead of what's real, you surrender a piece of your authenticity. Over time, you become what she wants, not who you are. You turn into a reflection of her emotions instead of a man with his own. And when she finally leaves, or loses respect for you, she'll say, "You changed." No, you didn't change. You just stopped performing. The irony? The same woman who punishes truth will later complain that men don't communicate anymore. But the truth is, we learned. We learned that honesty gets weaponized. That vulnerability becomes ammunition. That truth costs peace. So the strong man, the grounded one, stops playing. He doesn't lie, but he doesn't explain. He doesn't argue. He simply tells the truth once and walks away from chaos. Because real strength isn't in controlling her emotions. It's in not letting them control you. And that's when something strange happens. Beneath the rage, beneath the accusations, beneath the tears, she feels respect. Fear, yes, but respect too. Because deep down, even if she'll never admit it, every woman is drawn to the man she can't manipulate. And that, my friend, is why they call honesty dangerous. The first time you told her the truth, she called you cruel. The second time, she called you distant. The third time, she started to realize something that terrified her more than anything, that you weren't afraid of her emotions anymore. See, most men live their entire relationships walking on eggshells, terrified of the next explosion. You learn to measure your words like a bomb technician. You learn the timing of her moods, the tone in her silence, the patterns in her sighs. And when she says, "We need to talk," your stomach drops because you know, this isn't a conversation. It's a trial. You're guilty until proven submissive. But the moment you stop fearing that, everything shifts. You see the game for what it is. You see how every tear, every guilt trip, every dramatic "you don't care about me" is just another way of forcing you back into emotional servitude. Because as long as you're scared of upsetting her, she controls the dynamic. Women don't consciously plan this, it's instinct. The emotional storm isn't about punishing you. It's about testing you. She needs to know that you'll choose her feelings over truth. And when you don't, when you stay calm, grounded, unshaken, her mind short-circuits. Because now she's face to face with something rare. A man she can't control with emotion. That's the moment the panic sets in. She starts saying things that make no sense. "You've changed. You don't love me. You're cold." No, you're not cold, you're centered. You're not cruel, you're honest. But she doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to tell the difference. To her, calm truth feels like rejection, because she spent her whole life equating love with emotional compliance. She'll try every weapon in the arsenal. Tears, accusations, comparisons to other men, even threats of leaving. Anything to make you bend again. But if you stand firm, if you don't chase, don't justify, don't apologize for reality, something remarkable happens. The emotional chaos burns itself out, like a fire denied oxygen. And in the ashes of that storm, she begins to see something she hasn't seen in years. A man with a spine. A man who doesn't seek her approval. A man who lives by truth, not comfort. And whether she admits it or not, that ignites something deep in her: respect. Fear and respect are siblings in the female psyche. When she can't control you, she starts to admire you. But here's where it gets darker. Most women can't live without control for long. If she realizes she can't dominate you emotionally, she'll try to replace you with someone she can. She'll look for a man who lies easily, who flatters her, who feeds her illusions. Someone who tells her she's perfect while secretly resenting her. She'll call him understanding, until the day she stops respecting him too. Because women don't truly love the man who obeys. They use him. You see it over and over again. Men who sacrifice truth for harmony, only to be despised for being weak. And men who stand firm in honesty, only to be called heartless, until years later, the same woman confesses, "You were the only man who ever told me the truth." That's the paradox. Women crave emotional safety, but they respect emotional strength. And you can't have both. You can either make her comfortable, or make her respect you, never both. So when you tell her the truth and she goes crazy, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't apologize. Let her emotions burn themselves out. Because her chaos isn't proof that you were wrong. It's proof that you touched something real. The truth doesn't destroy love. It destroys illusions. And most modern relationships aren't built on love anymore. They're built on illusions disguised as romance, control disguised as affection, manipulation disguised as vulnerability. When you strip that away with truth, she'll either collapse and rebuild herself beside you, or she'll run toward another man's comforting lies. Either way, you win because you stayed real. And in a world that runs on deception, Staying real makes you dangerous. When you finally stop lying, when you decide that peace bought with dishonesty isn't peace at all, something fundamental changes between you and her. You stop being her emotional caretaker. You stop being her mirror. You stop being the man who keeps her illusions alive. And for the first time, she's forced to meet herself without the filters you used to hold for her. That's when the real storm begins. First, she'll hate you for it. She'll call you arrogant, heartless, insensitive. Anything that lets her keep her reflection clean. But deep down, beneath the noise, a small part of her knows you're not the villain. You're the mirror that stopped lying. You didn't change. You stopped protecting her from the truth she spent her life running from. And here's the cruel paradox. The very truth that makes her hate you now is the same truth she'll crave later. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not next month. But one day, when she's standing in front of another man who tells her exactly what she wants to hear, the man she thought she wanted, she'll feel something missing. It won't be comfort. It'll be reality. The sharp edge of honesty that only real men carry. Because there's something in every woman that recognizes authenticity, even if she fights it. Lies might make her smile, but truth makes her remember. And when she looks back, years later, maybe when life has humbled her, when her manipulations no longer work, when her reflection no longer gives her power, she'll remember the man who never bowed to her emotions. The man who told her the truth even when it cost him peace. By then, she'll understand what you were trying to do. That honesty wasn't cruelty, it was respect. That love without truth isn't love. It's babysitting. That all those fights weren't about ego, they were about freedom, yours and hers. But by then, it'll be too late. Because once a man finds peace in truth, he never returns to chaos. He stops chasing approval. He stops fearing emotions. He stops apologizing for being real. And that's when everything that used to control him loses its power. She'll see it too. The calm in your eyes, the way you move without explaining, the quiet strength of a man who's not seeking permission to exist. And it'll haunt her, because she'll realize she didn't lose you to another woman. She lost you to truth. That's what women can't stand about honest men. Not that they lie less, but that they can't be controlled through emotion. That's why they call you cold or distant. Because you're no longer a reflection of what they feel. You're a reminder of what they're afraid to face. And in the end, that's what drives them crazy. Not your words, not your tone, but your freedom. Because once you stop lying, once you stop kneeling at the altar of her emotions, you become untouchable. She can't guilt you. She can't twist you. She can't make you question your own reality. You've reclaimed something sacred, your truth. And in a world where most men are prisoners of female approval, a man who speaks truth without fear becomes the rarest thing of all. A man who commands respect, not because he demands it, but because he no longer needs it. That's when you finally understand. Honesty isn't the cause of chaos. It's the cure that exposes it. The truth doesn't make women go crazy. It shows you who already was.